This is Transcend with Nat, where we are awakening to the spiritual heart, sharing stories and awarenesses along the path of transcendence. Hi, and welcome to Transcend with Nat. This is Nat, and I am your host. And today we are going to be talking about leadership. Now, the reason this came present to talk to you about is because of a sharing at one of my recent light gatherings. For those of you who don't know or haven't heard, I've been doing and am continuing to do at this point a Tuesday evening light gathering where we call in the light, we put things in the light, we do a meditation, and do some sharing. And if you want to be part of that, if that sounds good to you, an opportunity to touch back in with yourself, touch back in with the light, let go of any burdens into the light, put things that you would like greater grace and ease and upliftment for into the light, then sign up. You can get that information at my website, transcend.online, and you can go to the events and you'll see the light gathering and you can sign up for that. That's an online offering, which is going to be Wednesday morning in New Zealand and Australia, late at night. Sorry, all my European, British, and the rest of Europe friends, but it'll be late at night for you. And for the States and Puerto Rico, it varies from 5 to 8 p.m. at this point. So you can get more information about that at my website, transcend.online. You may hear there's a little baby birds, so you may hear that in the microphone because they're tweeting away in their little nest. They just hatched outside my window, and they come around generally at least once a year here in my home in Puerto Rico. And it looks like, as I was getting ready and checking the video on this, looks like I burned my nose a little bit, probably somewhere along the line. The sun has all of a sudden gotten hot here. It's starting to feel like summer. We're still getting those afternoon rains, which is great, but it is getting a bit hot. So I lather the sunblock graciously on my face, but apparently it wasn't enough. And I wear a hat, this funny looking hat while I'm surfing. Not the coolest guy, more like a kook, but I'd rather protect my face from the sun, which it looks like I didn't do too successfully just now. Drinking a little bit of my yerba mate here, that Argentinian delight. It's really yummy. I actually spilled it right before I hit record and had to clean it up. So now we're recording. So spirit-led leadership. Someone was sharing with me about how they had moved into a new position where they were becoming the head of the company that they were a partner in, or at least their own boss. They became one of the heads, and they had never been in that position before. They were an employee or self-employed or a contractor for their life, and now they were involved in a company with multiple people where they were now the head of, and they weren't feeling too much like celebrating for some reason. And I laughed because, having been in businesses for a while now, I recognize that when you become the boss, you really become the one who has to pick up everything, is responsible for everything, and anything anyone doesn't do, that falls on you. And so there's a great responsibility with it. And then also you realize really you're just a servant. And the more you can move into that service mindset and leadership, the greater of a leader you are. I remember reading about Abraham Lincoln, and he wanted the Civil War to be over long before it was over. And he was dealing with multiple personalities, multiple generals, battles, so many dying, and he would have liked it to have been over much quicker. And there was most frustratingly, opportunities where it could have been over if his orders had been followed. The war would have lasted, the American Civil War would have lasted maybe a year or two less than it actually did, and a lot less deaths than actually came to be. But one of the things that I heard from him, and I don't know where this quote is, and I actually don't remember the quote, but the idea was that you can't push something that's not ready to be pushed, that you don't have the kind of power that people think you have. You can only do in that position what you are allowed to do. You can only do what is available and what's basically happening anyway. So, in a sense, you can just cooperate with the greater forces at play and keep the vision and persevere. I'm going to share with you now a video or an audio, if you're listening to this, of that sharing I had with the person at the light gathering, because I think it brings up, there's a story about my time with John Roger, and it brings up the keys that we're going to be discussing further here. Then another, I don't know why I'm throwing these out at you, but another great book was Herman Hesse' Journey to the East, which is all about the service-led leadership. And that was a book that Jared would have people read when they go on the PAT trips to Egypt. And it also reminds me of my life. As you become the boss, you actually become the servant. And then it's just, who are you serving? Because I remember being in Jared's office. I remember him telling me this. He told me many times, but he told me, Nat, you think that I'm in control here. It looks like I'm in control, but that's only because I'm cooperating so fully with what is in control. That's God, obviously. So as you move into this new spot, if you don't feel like celebrating, that's fine, because now you're the servant. You think you got upgraded, and you did. You got upgraded to be a servant, but to be a servant of the Spirit, and to be a servant of God, and to do that. And it doesn't matter what company or what business or what job you have at this point. From now on, you're working for God. And that's sometimes scary, because for some reason, I know God's my partner, but sometimes he doesn't always tell me the business plan here, like, hey, where's the business plan? Are you going to share it with me? And then very, very sneaky. One of the messages in that video was from John Roger, from my teacher, JR, where he would say, and he said it on multiple occasions to me, that he is not in control. He's just cooperating so fully with that which is in control that it seems like he is in control. And I never really got that at the time, because I was working under him and I didn't have the responsibilities he had. And I tried to understand. But as time went by and I became in positions where that was the case, where it seemed like I had the control, I realized that, yes, there is a level of cooperation, that a high level of cooperation, that the more you can cooperate with what is going on, the more you can accept what is and cooperate with the flow of spirit, and then utilize that within that flow to take the opportunity that is present for you. And it's a lot like surfing. Like, there's flows in the ocean, there's different currents in the ocean, and you can fight them and you're not going to get anywhere, or you can flow with them. And sometimes you end up on the inside, which is in front of the big waves of a set, and it's going to crash down on your head. And the more you cooperate with that, because you don't have control, it has so much control, you may not even be able, if it's big enough, to control your arms. The only thing you can do is really hold your breath and remain calm and maintain your inner space. And then there's other times that you're paddling out, or you're in the water and there's a current. And if you try to fight the current, you're not going to get very far. You're just going to wear yourself out. But if you understand and you observe and you see how the current's flowing and you use that to your advantage, you will get out there much faster. The other part of surfing is understanding, and part of this is an intuitive thing, understanding where the wave is going to break, how it's going to break, and where you need to be in the position to catch that wave. Recently, I was out, and this is going to relate. I'll get there. I'm going to get there around the story. I know I like talking about surfing. I hope you guys enjoy my little forays into the surf stories and adventures. Recently, I was surfing with a good friend of mine, Otto, who he has been a pro surfer his entire life, and he continues to be paid for his surfing. So he gets to get paid for surfing. Not a bad gig. But he's also really good. And I've learned a lot as his friend surfing with him. He's taught me a lot about surfing and just observing how he surfs. And the same goes with my good friend Magnum. And those two are super close friends, have had their careers together as surfers. And so I've been blessed to be friends with both of them. But on this day, it was just me and Otto. And we are at this spot, and it was decent size. I think we were at Middles, which is this break. It's one of the breaks that Kelly Slater won a championship at. It's a pretty heavy wave at times. It can really drill you into the reef, and it's a humbling wave for sure, because even if you have a good session, trying to get out at this spot, it'll humble you. It'll roll you around on the reef. You'll get sea urchins. I know I'm not making it out to be fun, but the waves are fun. Everything that goes around it, not always so fun. But we were out this particular day, and there was some surf bros, as we call them, some people from the States that come here to surf on vacation. And I saw Otto casually paddle out to a spot, and then this big wave came. He took one stroke, and he was in this wave, standing up and getting barreled. And these guys, they were like, "Oh my God." And I got to listen. They didn't know I'm friends with him, or I was listening to, "Did you see that guy? Whoa, man, like he didn't even paddle. He just got into that wave. Whoa, dude, that's like so crazy." So that's my impersonation of Surf Bros. and, and they do kind of sound like that. But they were just so impressed that he barely paddled into the wave, because most of us have to like paddle our hearts out just to get the wave. The thing is that Otto's, number one, surfed the spot so many times for his entire life. Number two, he knows how to see the water and see the waves. And this is something I've observed with both him and Magnum and other people who are pro surfers and have just done this and mastered that, is that the best ones, they are able to watch the water. They're able to even intuitively know, without really the thought of it, but intuitively know where to go to catch that wave, where the energy of the wave is going to be perfect for them to step on it right before it breaks and get into the wave with the least amount of effort. And that's what he demonstrated. That's what Otto demonstrated that day. And that's why these surf bros were tripping out. And I've seen it many times, and that's something I've worked with my surfing. The same applies in your life, and the same applies in leadership when you're in a position of making decisions, is that the more you can observe, the more you can intuitively know where that wave is coming, the more you can position yourself. See, that's the opportunity. You can't change where that wave is going to break. When that wave comes, there's so many variables that you have no control over. But what you do get to do is you can position yourself. You get to make that choice. And in the spiritual framework, the positioning is an internal one of how you are aligning yourself to your intention. And as you are more aware and accepting of what's going on, you can cooperate with that. And that is the cooperation. And that's the demonstration of it in a surfing context, in a surfing story, is that you're cooperating with all the factors of where the wave is going to break. You're using your intuitive ability to cooperate with that. You move yourself into the position to take the greatest advantage of what is. And that is part of the leadership as well. I did bring up in that sharing this book, Journey to the East. And that is a great book by Hermann Hesse. And the whole book is about becoming a servant-led leader. And it also reminds me a lot of my life, this journey that's this mystical journey that this main character takes, and how he finds the League, which is what they call it in the book, his journeys and travels with them, his moving away from them, and then finding it again and realizing that the one that was the lowliest of servants, who just was the helper, was truly the leader. And that's the great essence of that story to me. And it's a book that John Roger, when he'd take these big groups of people doing retreats into the Middle East, into Egypt and Israel, he would have people read that book. Because as you move into these positions where you do have authority, the more you can let go of trying to control. Because really, what is the opposite of cooperation? It's trying to control everything, trying to force it into your way. The important thing is moving in that field of cooperation, and that's part of the service-led leadership. The other thing is recognizing who your partner is in all of that. So who are you cooperating with? Well, it's with God. It's with that which is. And so God becomes your partner. And as I discussed in that sharing, you don't always know what the business plan is. And that's part of staying open to what's present. And it allows you to be in that state of observation so that you can recognize what the business plan is with your partner, with God. And that as you shift and reframe from I work for this person or I'm the boss to I work for God. I work for that which is. I work for the divine. The Spirit is my partner in this. God is my partner in this. It opens you not only to the support of that which is in control, but to the greater part of you as well. As you reframe how you're looking at your work, which John Roger said was your love made manifest, that as you reframe that to something that is divinely inspired, something that is moving you, an expression of your love, as you reframe it as your work is an expression of your love, and who you're working for is God. And so who your partner is God. You can take it as you're working for God, or you can take it as you're working together. And I think that working together is the partnership. And I think that's the beauty of it. So as you're in more and more of those positions in your life where you have that responsibility, and the truth is that we all have that responsibility within our own lives. We are the boss. We are the head of our lives, and we get to choose. And so to recognize who your partner already is and to work in that acceptance and cooperation, that is how you move forward into this more spirit-led leadership. So I encourage you to look at your life, your job, how you're approaching your leadership more in that way. And if you'd like to join the Light Gathering, you can get more information of that online at transcend.online, as well as my newsletter. And if you want to work one-on-one with me, I do coaching. I do private spiritual counseling with people. So reach out to me through my website, transcend.online, or you can get me at nat@transcend.online. That's my email. And reach out. We'll connect and we'll do a session together. Also, you can get my latest book, Transcending the Practice of Spiritual Living, Volume 2, on Amazon. You can get to it through my website also. And until next time, God bless you all. 'Cause I'm free. Just forgive yourself. Come on, let it be. 'Cause I'm free.